Hi, I'm Samantha with Spyker Customer Service, and today we will be adding the Accuway to our Pro Series P20-5010. So if you would like to add this kit to your spreader, you would need 3 components. You would need the Accuway diffuser, the Accuway screw, and the Accuway Adjustment Nut. All of those are available on Spyker.com through the parts store. So the tools you're going to need to add your Accuway is going to be 2 10mm wrenches, 2 ratchets with 10mm sockets, and a hammer. If you notice your material is throwing too far to the left or too far to the right, you will start to adjust the Accuway a quarter turn at a time to help control and spread what you want. Okay, so what we'll start with is removing the hopper. So we're going to go ahead and take the cover off, remove the screen, and down inside the hopper, this is going to expose the agitator wire and felt washer, which both will need to be removed. So I'm going to remove this with the pliers. Nope, we need a rubber mallet. So we are going to remove the agitator wire, remove the felt washer. Now we will need to remove the 3 bolts, and I'll be using a 10mm, 2 10mm wrenches. Okay, let's remove the other one over there. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do here, this one's going to be a little different because it's got this deflector on it. Let's see the best way to get that one. There's not much room to work with under here. Okay, so what we're going to do here is remove the last bolt. Okay, so now what we want to do is remove this bar back here. We want to remove this from the linkage. And that one should be a 3/8. Okay, so we're going to remove the nut and the washer. And when you remove this linkage, you'll have one more washer to remove. Now we've got the hopper removed. We want to place that upside down. So this is where we'll begin to add the Accuway pieces. So we have the diffuser. Orientation is important. So we have a closed side and an open side. And this drop down hoop here, you'll want to set in the opening of the rate gate. So if you want to slide this back, you want to make sure that your diffuser is facing down into here, and there are 2 rows on these Accuway guides. Your rate gate is going to be on the lower row, and the diffuser will slide into the top row. So if you kind of want to do one side and then slide in the next side, now your diffuser is attached. So next you'll want to remove your diffuser plug. You can keep this to the side. Okay, so next thing that we want to do is start attaching the Accuway screw to the Accuway Adjustment Nut. So what we're going to do here is we want to make sure that the smooth section of this screw starts into the Accuway nut. So we're just going to begin by tightening that. Here, when you're assembling this, what I would recommend is that you want to tighten this screw until the smooth section of the screw is past the edge of the Accuway nut. Okay, so we're about there now, and once that smooth section of your Accuway screw is past the edge, we can go ahead and assemble this to the hopper itself. Now, if you look into the opening, it's going to match the shape of the bottom of the adjustment nut. So what you want to do is set that down in place and give it a spin. And you want to make sure that your smooth section and the drop down of the diffuser itself connect together. So what we like to do is snap it into place like so, and just snap it down in there. Now, final adjustments can be made later. When you turn the screw, it is going to either pull your diffuser forward or backwards. The most important thing with adding this and using this is that your Accuway is never in the center of your opening. So just for a basis, you kind of want to start in that just past the edge of that. Once that's on there, you've got your Accuway diffuser attached to the hopper, and then you'll just reassemble your hopper back onto the frame. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we wanna make sure that the shaft here goes back through the bottom of the opening. We wanna make sure that's nothing is blocking that. So we wanna set this back into place. You're gonna slide that right back down onto the shaft. So what we wanna do here is I'm just gonna backtrack, and I am going to reattach this lever piece here. We want to add a metal washer first. Then we want to slide it back through the linkage. We're going to add back the second washer and finish that off by re-adding the nut. Now, it's important when you reassemble this this needs to be tight, as close to this washer as you can get, but not tightened all the way down. If it's over tightened, it will cause this to be stuck. It'll be too stiff. Okay, so we have very little play in here, but it's not too tight. So now we want to reattach the hopper to the frame. So we are going to reuse the hardware we removed. For best alignment, I like to start in the center so I don't pull my hopper too far to the left or right. Okay, now we can do the left or right side. We want to make sure to remember that that black washer is back on the screw. I'm going to add this through here. If you raise your hopper just a bit, it can help you align with the hole in the frame. Now, if you don't have the deflector, you're gonna have a little bit more room to work with here when adding this back. So just keep in mind, if there is a deflector added to your hopper, you will have one longer screw out of the 3, and that will be used on the side of the deflector. Okay, now that's through, I'm gonna add the flat washer back on, followed by the nut. And to start with, I'm going to hand tighten these until I have all 3 bolts in. Okay, so next I have the washer and the bolt. So what I'm going to do now is do this final screw back into the hopper and frame. Okay, now we're going to add the nut back on. Once you have all 3 bolts ran through the frame, go ahead and tighten those back down, and that will require your 10mm. And again, I'm just going to start here in the center to help prevent pulling the hopper too far left or right. Okay, that's tightened, but not over tightened. You don't want to pull your bolt so tight that it smashes your washer. You just want to make sure that it's good and snug on there. And that will help anytime you need to remove or put your bolts back in. It is important to not over tighten. Okay, so I've got the screw nice and snug in here, but you can also see that it's not smashing the washer under the bolt. So now we're just gonna tighten this one over here. So now that we have all of those retightened, what we want to do now is we want to add back our 2 pieces from the shaft. So we're going to first add the felt washer. Something to help you remember which goes first is your felt washer is to protect any material from falling down near the shaft and into the gearbox. Then what you're going to do here is snap your agitator back in. You want to push that as far as you can by hand. And then if you use your hammer, the same way we removed it, we're gonna put it back in. We're just gonna give it a little tap here. You want it to be snug around the shaft. That is back in place. So now what we wanna do here is add our screen back in, add our cover back on, and we are done. All right, so that is the installation of the Accuway kit added to the P20-5010. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at Spyker Customer Service. Thank you.